I made up these strut tower plates so I could put the caster back far enough and have the bolts recessed so that I can bolt everything underneath the strut tower. So part of the problem I had was trying to make a new one, because this was just my rough version, and what I came up with was a two-piece. So you've got the top plate, which is cut away so that it can slide in the bolts, and it's cut away here in the corner so that it clears this rounded area. It still travels both directions. And then below that is the other plate. So the strut bolts to this part, this bolt's on top. I've got these placement holes to lock everything together. I'll drill, well, these are already drilled, but I'll tap them so everything will line up. So this is the strut tower plate that I made on my milling machine. And you can see the cutout, it's a one-piece design. And then this is the two-piece. And one thing I need to do is open up these slots so that my through bolts can slide in this slot. So I'll have to remachine that part. Now these holes are used to just keep the two plates together. The things that I want to make sure gets shown on my camber plates is that the three bolts that come up through here are in these slots. To make it so you don't need a wrench, you want these to be able to slide back and forth. On the back side, I've got slots. So the bolt had 17 millimeters. The bolt itself is 10. So it's got the bolt captured so it can't spin. And that's how they mount. And as you can see, I had to cut this hole out bigger, and I also slotted it much bigger than I needed. But this has been through several designs over the years, so that's why it's so big. But when you put a top plate on here for the brace, tower brace, it'll cover all that up. So this is my start. This hole goes away. That was for an old design that I had, so that's not used. These are the original 3 holes. I have drilled them out from 8 millimeter to 10 millimeter. I think it gives the tower brace a lot more support. And I'm going to put it together and show you what it looks like. So this is how the strut goes in way up. It used to be centered, now it's way in. These adjust your in and out, and these adjust left and right. This is the prototype tower plate. This is the strut that I got from Megan Racing for a VW Golf. I like Rich Bryant's Neon SRT setup much better, but I had this before he had his. So this uses a different hat on top. This has been machined because I had another interference issue years ago. I set this up so that the tire has full rise before it bottoms out any more vertical, and it would be rubbing on the inside of the fender. My 15-inch focal wheels are dual lug spacing. So I've got 4.5 inch or 100 millimeter, 115 millimeter, 100 millimeter. So I can go to a dual setup. So what I've done is I put a 15 millimeter wheel spacer on here. So it bolts onto the 100 millimeter lugs, stock lugs, comes out 15 millimeter, and then bolts onto the wheel. So this will allow me to run different wheels, and bigger wheels, even the 17 inch, whatever I want to run, but still keep the stock 11 inch brakes. Are the wheel spacers. These are 15 millimeter thick, so they push the tire more outside on the fender and get it away from the strut. So if you have problems with the strut being too close to the tire, or when you turn the tire, if you're banging on the inner wheel well, these will push your tire out a little bit for you. This is a 5x100, so the hub that it goes onto, the lugs, are 5x100, which is for our G-body cars. And then the male lugs are the 4.5 inch, 115 millimeter, so it allows you to run a different wheel on our cars. You're not stuck trying to run the narrow bolt pattern. Now my wheel just happens to be dual bolt pattern, so I have 5x100 and 5x4.5 inch. So I can do either one, but I wanted the 15 millimeter spacing, so that's what it allows me to have. Many years ago I was able to score the K-frame and control arm from a Shadow, and that allowed me to get the big brake set up. One of the things that I found right here, when this hub turns, spindle turns, it contacts it with the steering stop. And unfortunately with the Laser, that happens right, your tire hits the fender. The tire actually contacts this area because the wheel has been pushed forward with these control arms. So that pushes your tire up into this area instead of into this area. So preferably you wanted your tire here, but with the new geometry it becomes here. So to get around this, what I've decided to do is to tap a bolt in. So I'll be putting a bolt, an M10 bolt, stainless bolt in there. So this is what the finished product looks like. That becomes the limiter. The wheel comes over. It can still rotate. It's just about touching.